say listen to the right music. So more than ever, it's important to listen to the right music. And one of the things that we have control over, is what we hear. We can control what we hear. It's especially important today. I can't tell you how many people complain to me about different news outlets and what they're hearing. And it's what Howard Stern used to tell people. You don't have to listen. Do you know that his audience, the people who listened to the most, well, first, the people who loved him said the reason they love him is they couldn't wait to hear what he said next. The people that hated him, who spent twice as much time listening to him, said the reason they listen to him is they can't wait to hear what he has to say next. If you don't like what you're hearing, don't hear it. Listen to the music that you want to. Surround yourself with the people and the ideas that you want to surround yourself with. And the music that you hear will pick or elevate your vibration, or it will lower your vibration. And we can only be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than us. So elevate your vibration by listening to the music that you want to hear. And you will become more within tune to that vibration, that frequency, and you too will attract that music into your life. Very good question to start off. I loved it. Do you have matching pink Nikes on? I do, and Jeremy gave me those Nikes, and they're awesome. I have them on, and I will take a picture and send it to you. Perfect. Amen, everybody. Make sure you tell me where you're coming in from. Make sure you join me today, Friday, 11 a.m. Pin down below. You can text me if you haven't joined yet, or email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll jump on it right after this live. Let's jump to the next one. In the pursuit of your potential, can you defer to your passion and to add new skills to your arsenal? Yeah, that's your pursuit of your potential, is to add new skills, add new knowledge, and enhance the desire that you have, enhance your passion by learning to love. That's finding the light, the love, and the lessons in the parts and pieces that you don't love of all activity that you have. I separate things by activity I get paid for and activity that I don't get paid for. And the reason is my pursuit of happiness, my pursuit of the consistent, persistent potential that I have stems from the fact that I live here at this vibration where money is a currency. It's an object of energy that we put into the flow that get what we want. And so making a lot of money to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun is in that arsenal. Excellent. Keep on coming, guys. What's your 2020 word? Pursuit. So if we're pursuing, we're happy. So get into the pursuit, everybody. Do not allow the illusions to cause interference or corrosion between what you're inspired to do. We're going to talk about motivation versus inspiration today at training. By the way, you going to be watching SmackDown today? Yeah, I'm going to catch it. Might have to catch it on the rebound, but yes, any sports, I'm so desperate. I watch cornhole, I watch drone racing. Easiest ways to elevate your vibration. Stop, drop, and roll is the easiest way to elevate your vibration. That means when you're not at your highest frequency, stop. Use your ferociousness to stop. Be a Buddha. So now you're looking at the ferocious Buddha. And breathe, get to neutral, which hopefully we'll have someone on here, an expert at neutrality. And then, of course, roll in the right trajectory. Shake down. What's up, my friend? Thank you, Jakey Bakey. It's hashtag training day. Sure is. And I can't tell you how excited I am. I love Fridays. Every part of it, and the parts that I don't, I've learned to love. Hey, David, what do you think about creating an app that is a business YouTube app, a cross between YouTube and something else? Why not? Remember the 5 things when you're creating an app. Go ahead and credibility, emotional attachment, quantify the reasons, impacts, capabilities, overall impact for everybody, and then sprinkle it with features and benefits to reaffirm what you're doing. My college buddies here, the good-looking, handsome, with hair on his face, Trevor Moed. What's going on?
What's up, Dave? How you doing, man?
Where are you?
I am in Manhattan Beach.
Oh, nice. Perfect. It looks good there. I'm going down to the beach today after this whole mess is over.
Yeah, I haven't done the beach visit yet. I'm somebody who's just kind of getting my exercise in, getting my walks in, but definitely sheltering in place. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But
well, I'm lucky.
uh,
My
I'll sneak to
shelter
the beach.
is. Oh, I was gonna say I'm lucky. My shelter is on the beach. So.
Yeah, I'm not. You know what? I haven't hit your status in the alumni yet. So uh, hopefully, Octa's hitting you up a little bit.
Oh, all the time, man. They David Hodges just popped through there. I saw him. He said it's the Occidental reunion. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
How
I
you
want to
doing,
have
Dave?
you on.
How's everything going in your world? I see that you're really busy, and like I told you, the world needs your voice. So it's exciting to see all the stuff that you're doing, because there's certainly a way to adapt and navigate and still help people, even though we can't see them live in the same way, maybe we used to.
Yeah, man. And I'm utilizing a lot of what I've learned from you about neutrality, right? The times that we spoke and the lessons that you've taught me about, how that is utilized on the field and off the field, the neutrality of being able to see things in an introspective way to perform at your highest frequency. And people were asking about that frequency. I know my voice, there he is. So, I really want to kind of get focused because you've taught me so much the lessons of neutrality. And, for those people that don't know, Trevor works with the greatest athletes in the world, including, our great quarterback in Seattle. And he's done fairly well for himself. But, the quarterbacks and the athletes that you work with really understand how to take exterior pressure and get into neutral so that they can perform at their best, at their highest vibration. What are some of the tricks to getting to neutral? Because so many people are asking me that.
Well, I think first of all, to understand that there's really, sort of three frameworks for state of mind. I mean, we have negative thinking. We certainly have positive thinking. And I think just to be quick, the data around negative thinking is right about a multiple of 7 times more powerful than positive thinking. So we have to really understand, particularly at a time like now, the power in that, but not really the internal thoughts. In the athletic world, we don't spend a lot of time, and you and I've talked about this before. The athletic population is not typically the David Meltzer population. They're not seeking self-help. They're not looking to change from the inside out. They're when you execute a program for Coach Saban, or Coach Smart or Coach Fisher, it's got to be the most basic, rudimentary plan that resonates with everybody. And so negative thoughts are 7 times more powerful than positive thoughts. But when we verbalize those thoughts, they're 10 times more powerful. And if they're negative, they're a multiple of 7. So those negative, the externalization, I don't want to be here. When are we going to get out of this? Q3 is going to look just like Q2. Am I going to be furloughed? All these fears, as we talk them out and we verbalize them, we increase the probability by almost 70 times with every negative statement that they're more likely to happen. Positive thinking, and the data is really clear, Dave. I mean, from the Mayo Clinic to the Cleveland Clinic to Harvard to Georgetown, negativity works negatively. But the biggest thing is, don't worry about the inside voice. I've been, in 8 national championship games, and got those guys the night before games. They're all over the place. Can I do it? Can I not? But they're not talking about it. They're not breathing life into it. They're not increasing the probability. They understand that data. And then positive thinking is a tough place in general, let alone right now. And positive thinking is the idea that when something bad happens, we immediately shift our mind to an expectation that a good outcome will happen. That's a hard place to get to quickly when you're going through adversity, when you've lost a job, when something's going on with your health, your family, you're going through a pandemic. So neutral is this idea that there's a middle ground, and the middle ground essentially is, all right, look, whatever just happened, good or bad, like that's real. And that's where I think positive thinking is very difficult for people, because it's like, all right, well, you got divorced, but think about all the people you get to meet. You're going to meet someone better. Well, that's not where you're at when you go through that experience. You have to understand it. You have to sort of live in the pain for a little bit. But then you have to move forward, not to an outcome, but what can I do to be better in my next relationship? What can I do to meet somebody? And I start moving that way. I accept the past. I'm not going on Facebook and looking at her page, but I'm also not jumping to thinking about all the people I get to meet, because that's not where I'm at in my mind. That creates cognitive dissonance. So neutral is this idea that, hey, this is what's happening in the world right now. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, if I'm the biggest cynical asshole on the planet, I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. And if I'm the most positive person on the planet, I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow either. So neutral is basically, all right, this is real right now, but the past is not predictive, or how I feel is not determinative. What I do is what's going to determine my future. How I adapt to Zoom meetings, how I get on phone calls, how I make 50 calls instead of 10 calls. I used to maybe close 3 out of 10. Now I might close 2 out of 50, but I've adapted. So I think that's one of the ways to staying neutral, is just saying, look, man, this is going on, but the future hasn't happened yet. I'm going to focus on the behaviors I can do next and not be worried about outcomes. That's kind of how we look at it in sports. And then obviously with the book, we've tried to take it into the business world. Positive thinking still has value, but only in the absence of negativity. It'd be like eating 8 bags of nachos, Dave, which is negativity, than saying, I better eat 3 apples. You're better off stopping with the bags of nachos.
Yeah, you know what concept I love is the ability to breathe life into what we want, meaning negative or positive. And what I found is this idea of neutral, which, I really hadn't focused on being too positive. And, you had explained, with like Russell Wilson and other great quarterbacks that, and I noticed this with Warren Moon, they're never too high and they're never too low. And that too high also wastes energy and can create corrosion interference to this light, love, and lessons that we're supposed to be here learning. But this idea of neutrality allows you to sit into a position where you can breathe life into what you want. So if negative things and positive things were balloons that were deflated, when you're in neutral, you get to pick the balloons that you want to inflate. And
Right.
some of the balloons, because of the external circumstances that exist at that time, which are unpredictable, some of the balloons sometimes are more difficult to blow up. But the ones that are most difficult to blow up are the ones that really, I think, create the most fulfillment, right? They stay the longest as well. They hold the air the longest. They have more consistent, persistent energy in your life. One other thing that you said that I'll let you comment on, I've always said, people ask you, like, I don't understand why, people like you and I that feed into positive thinking and empower people aren't as popular as the Kardashians or, the housewives, and it's because of that 70%, or I call it the 87%. If you're going to be a train wreck, you're going to actually be able to be more popular because people are going to want to see that, right? It's much more attractive. And it's why the Tiger King and all that stuff that literally can drive you down into the depth with negative energy are so much more popular than, stuff you see on PBS with Wayne Dyer or, Joel Osteen or Trevor Moawad or videos that are super positive. Where does that vibration of why do people want to see train wrecks and breathe life into the wrong balloons?
Well, when we were writing It Takes What It Takes, the only goal we had was to prove that negativity works, that negativity works negatively, and just to make sure people understood that. Because, being raised my whole life, by the president of the National Association for Self-Esteem, and my dad working with Lutai Pacific Institute, and in a lot of ways, the Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Norman Vincent Peale, Maxwell Maltz, that's what I lived with. But nobody really, right now, the movement is for the top 1% of 1%. It's just not inclusive. Most people are like, I'm not buying that. And what we found is it goes back to the hard wiring. 10,000 years ago, we were wired to assume the worst. Because if we weren't assuming the worst every moment of every day, we could be eaten by a dinosaur. And our wiring never changed. But there's maybe there's elements of what we're going through right now that feel like a dinosaur. But in general, we don't we don't need that same sense of urgency and assuming the worst to protect ourselves. And so, but we never change. So you have to understand the fundamentals of thinking. And I've told you the reason our industry goes too quickly to complicated. All right, the way to solve your problems through this is to meditate. Meditation, if you understand all the other basics, is a powerful game changer from the inside out. It is not a starting point. A starting point is if you look at the data, don't say dumb shit out loud. That's the starting point. That's a starting point. I think the second thing is be mindful of what you're consuming. It is the responsibility of CNN, of MSNBC, of Fox, of ABC, of NBC to understand the data, and negativity sells. So they might not be talking a lot about how many people have been healed, how many people are recovering, what countries have handled this well. It doesn't make sense. Their responsibilities to their consumer, which is the people spending money advertising, they do not have any responsibility to the truth. So a lot of people right now are confused. Well, I need to stay educated. Well, go to ca.gov and understand what the rules are. I work as an advisor for the Clippers. They give great updates about Southern California. These are the rules. These are the counties that are open. These are the places. These are the recommendations. So I haven't watched the news one time at any point during this pandemic because I understand their goal. And I don't want to bring that in. It's hard enough navigating through this without that. So what I'm saying out loud, what I'm consuming, like you also talked about that Howard Stern told you, the music you're listening to, nobody can tell me they're not always in control of what they say. And if somebody pops on your thing and says, what about my negative thoughts? Who cares about your thoughts? Start with your words. Secondly, start with your consumption. If you learned how to just not say negative things out loud, it would change your life forever without ever being positive. And I've seen this in teams that went from 6 wins to playing in national championships just by not talking about our problems, not breathing life to them. Well, how do you deal with your problems then? Well, of course, when we have a situation, we have a neutral conversation, which is what are the things we need to do to get through this? How do we adapt, adjust? We got to let some people go. What can we do to do it as well as we can? I'm getting let go. How can I navigate this? What can I do? You're living in the real world. You know what's happening, but you're not breathing life into it daily, Dave. So then I think when you get that right, well, then you start working on your own marketing campaign and affirmations, and then, being able to regulate your breathing and progressive muscle relaxation and all that. But that doesn't matter if you're watching 165 hours of CNN a day, and then talking to your friends about how life sucks, and then you're trying to do PMR. It just doesn't make sense to get the first part right. I'm a big believer in that, and then advance yourself when you've earned the right to advance.
That's amazing. Because in my first book, I talk about that exact process: is cancel, clear, and connect. Meaning, you got to cancel everything first. When you have a negative thought, I cancel it, right? And
Yeah.
I won't breathe life into that thought. And if people have attacking thoughts for me, I cancel it, and I don't watch the news for that. I seek the information that I want. So we have, and are blessed, even from when we went to Oxy, we're so blessed. We don't have to go over, to the disc machine at a library or look and search for a book if we're looking for information. It's right at our hands. So pick a time of the day. If you need stable data, like ca.gov or the Clippers or whatever, go get the stable data that you want. I'm all for having stable data, but all the negative energy that goes along with it, you don't need sensationalism. We don't need to have that exacerbation, because it will grow arms and legs. And I love the fact about meditation, because so many people don't get it, that they think that they can just all of a sudden go play golf and shoot scratch golf. Meditation is just like golf. It's a lifetime. It's a lifetime sport.
No question.
You got to go to the range every day.
Right. And look, as you advance, you can do things like canceling and thought stopping and other elements, and then having like an internal conversation with yourself. But that's not the starting point for people right now. Do simple better. Do the things right now that just, hey, I can control what I say. And then if I'm listening to this, well, don't I need to say, like, I can't hold my thoughts in? yes, you can. If you look at the information, you are much better not saying it than verbalizing your fears. Now, if you want to verbalize productively, like, what do I need to do right now? Kind of like, um, I think it was Roger Bochet, one of our professors at Oxy, who also mentored Obama, who was like, you can look at life like, what can I do with an exclamation point, or what can I do with a question mark? And that's what we need to do right now. And it's tough. You know, like I've lost thousands of dollars. I wrote my book. A month later, all this stuff happened. Like, the book is done well. It takes what it takes. That I wrote with Russell, the younger Warren Moon. And But I had all these things booked. You know, I'd spent all this money on this PR firm and getting all these things, and then everything got canceled. You know, so I mean, I still have teams and the different things that I work with, and we're our company, Limitless Minds, thinkbig-gofar.com. We're still doing a lot of webinars and cool things, and we're adapting. But a lot of those we're doing for free. You know what I'm talking about, Dave? Yeah. To get started, and then we're building sort of to the new normal where there's a premium, but everybody's kind of learning this. So, you know, if you're, you know, how do you adapt? How do you adjust? And so I went back to the sports world, signed individual clients, things that I was kind of wanted to focus more on the business world. But that's not in the cards as much for me.
Yeah, and me too. There's quick adjustments, but it's extraordinary that you and I have had such similar and synergistic careers and travels and journeys, and we've ended up almost in the same place. And I am just a huge supporter of yours. Anything I can do to support you. You teach
thanks for doing our
wisdom.
podcast too, Dave. Thanks for doing our podcast. I know Russell's brother and DJ really liked you, and you're such a strong voice, such a powerful voice. And what I love about you is your consistency. You know, I mean, you're showing up every day, no matter what's going on. You're finding time. Hopefully, you give yourself a couple of days here and there to go spend with your incredible family. But that you're making time because, you know, some people I'm sure opt in, opt out, different types of things. But that consistent voice, knowing, hey, I'm going to get a message that's productive, that makes sense, that's strategic, that's uplifting. You know, I'm a big believer, as powerful as neutral is in inspiration. You know, I mean, every Friday morning or Sunday morning, I'm looking for the Catholic Church to give me a good homily, to give me a good gospel, and to help me, you know, in areas that I'm struggling in, because I also think it's really important when you minimize the negativity to bring in the inspiration and the belief based upon what you're doing. And then also that hope is probably the most powerful medicine we'll ever have. And we need to make hope a habit. So I really appreciate you. You know, I talked to Brian Newhall a couple of days ago, our basketball coach at Oxy. Yeah. I'm really hoping that the campus will open. You know, it's crazy the numbers, because Oxy relies so much on tuition that we'll lose if it's remote only. So I hope that our country comes together. I think we've learned now more than ever that competent politicians is not an option. And that we get people to come together and figure out a way to increase the testing and come up with a plan and get everybody through this. So, but thanks for all you do, Dave.
Thank you, my friend, and thank you for teaching people. Sing the music that you want to sing, dance to the songs that are going to make you happy. I appreciate it, my brother. We'll talk soon.
I appreciate it. Take care.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Occidental College, 1,500 people a year strong, but there's some amazing alumni like Trevor, Obama, Ben Affleck went there, Jim Mora, Jack Kemp, and the list goes on and on. Terry Gilliam, Calvin, I'd see you there, brother. Look at that. Castbox, talk about the future. I'm going to bring Calvin Jang on. Hopefully he wants to join me. He's from Hong Kong. Hey, Calvin, how are you?
David. Hey, how's it going?
My first question is, how's Renee Wang?
She's good. She's good.
She's my favorite entrepreneur. She's the epitome of an entrepreneur. She's someone who has invested more in herself to build a company, and now, you know, just showing that she's put herself in the right place at the right time with your business, Castbox. So thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for inviting me. Really glad to be here. And it's nice to meet you. First time meeting you, right?
Yeah, we missed each other at Rise in Hong Kong, and with what's going on, it might be a little bit before we get to see each other in person. But tell me what's going on at Castbox and with all the changes, how you're taking advantage and creating opportunities for people.
Yeah, so for people that don't know, Castbox is a podcast platform. Right now, Apple and Spotify are larger than us, but we're the third biggest podcast player in the market. Um, yeah, so obviously with the COVID-19 going around, it's affected our numbers a little bit, but for a lot of businesses, it's been hard to do business. But for online businesses, we've actually seen a slight increase in our usage numbers. Obviously, in the US, you see people, they usually listen to podcasts when they're driving, but now that everybody's working from home, you're seeing a dip there. However, for a lot of people, when they're at home, they have to have content like for their kids, for example. So we're seeing an uptick there. But basically, during the worst part, so I'm in Beijing, in China. So we're about a couple months ahead of the U.S. in terms of where we are on the curve, and we were working at home for a couple of months. It was pretty difficult. So I know what everybody in the U.S. is going through right now. I mean, I was working at home for about 2 to 3 months. So yeah.
Give me some insight on what it's like when you get back. So, everybody here, we've been stuck for 2 months, and I think people are getting antsy, frustrated. You guys obviously are ahead of us in the curve. What are some of the things that we actually can look forward to, in how have things changed in the perspective of the employees?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, first of all, it's going to take some adjusting. So, for example, like everybody is starting to get used to wearing masks. So in Beijing, everybody started wearing masks in January. When this news broke, like everybody is accustomed to wearing masks already. So even now, when I go back into the office, you're going to see your coworkers in masks. Especially if you're in a small group meeting, you never know, somebody could be a carrier for the virus. So that took some adjusting. But right now, because there's less cases in the US, like once we've mitigated and kind of controlled the amount of new cases that are showing up, people are starting to become a little bit more relaxed, not as worried as maybe about a month or two ago. So I think when people first start coming back, you're going to have to do a little bit of adjusting. You're going to have to get used to probably not standing so close to your coworkers, maybe not really like having lunch together, like right in front of each other. Those are all some of the things that we were doing. Like we were sitting diagonally from each other. It's kind of weird. Like that way you have a little bit more space between you and your coworkers. So some like some like random stuff like that.
Yeah. Last question, real quick, because I've been blessed. I was worried about my own podcast, and yesterday was the most downloads we've ever had, and approaching 2 million. And one of the concerns were the change in the habits of podcasting as we come out of it. Have you guys seen the podcast usage go up when you guys got back to work? Because my philosophy is a lot of people listen to my podcast while they're working.
Yeah. So what we've noticed is that for people that listen at home, educational content and kids content usage has gone up. So your podcast, it's providing educational content, motivational content. These are the type of things that people need during this time of crisis. So it's actually like you're benefiting from this, and that's exactly what we're seeing from our data. However, on the flip side, things like sports, obviously, since it's canceled, those podcasts are just like no downloads. Daily news, those things as well. The podcast numbers for those are down. So basically, some are benefiting, some are not, and it's great to see that you got 2 million downloads. That's great to hear. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're getting there. Last piece of advice for everyone. Everybody here is so curious on what's going to evolve, and Beijing obviously is a very more American city than a lot of others in China. So we have a lot of the same issues: metropolis, people, traffic, smog, all the great things that we have in America. What piece of advice would you give people, knowing that we're 2 months into it right now?
Well, it will get better. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. So like for me, for example, for the past couple of months, like things have started to normalize, if you could call it that. I've been going out to the park with my son. One of the benefits of the virus is that because I was able to work from home, I was able to spend more time with my family, and I think a lot of people should try to take advantage of that. It's not, you know, we don't get a pandemic like every year, right? So you might as
Hopefully
well take
not.
advantage might as well take advantage of the work from home. So these past couple of months, I spent so much time with my son. He's only 2 years old. So, you know, I love spending time with him. It's great having that family time. So, um, you know, now that we're coming out of it, you do see the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, take it from me. I've been going to the park with my family every weekend. Things are slowly getting better. It is going to be a gradual process, and people are still going to have to wash their hands. You know, be careful. Make sure you're not standing too close to one another. But it will get better eventually.
Thank you so much, my friend. I can't wait to get the playbook onto Castbox, get huge worldwide distribution. You guys are incredible. Please, when you see Renee, talk to her. Tell her I send my love to her. She is my favorite and most extraordinary entrepreneur. You're very lucky to be working with her.
Thank you. Thank you so much, David.
You got to come on again, okay?
All right, great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, my friend. Take care. Calvin Jang, Castbox, head of investment there. And if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It is an incredible platform and great people. I always invest in entrepreneurs, and that is one entrepreneur. I saw Chris here, and let's grab him real quick. Talking about sports and sports content getting slammed right now. This guy has always been the mensch of all mensch. Mensch is here. Hide live video. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna go live with you. Why won't it let me go live with you? Huh. I'll check it out on this side. Sorry, Chris, I'm getting to you. FS1's Chris Broussard here. Jakey Bakey, am I missing something? Give me, it's not allowing me. This says hide live video from Chris. I don't want to hide live video. I want to join Chris. Let's see here. All right. Let me get Chris. Comment one more time. Let me see if I can get you up on here. Trying to find my friend as we get there. Talking about FS1. The great Chris Broussard is on here. See what's going on in sports or what's not going on in sports either way. Thank you so much. Just trying to get him to join. It says hide when he does, Jakey. Anyway, while he's coming back on, let me just answer this quick question. I like to keep things moving. When did you learn the lesson of motivation versus inspiration? When is an arbitrary and capricious question about anything, right? I'm continually learning about motivation and inspiration. So by the time there we go. I'm waiting to be invited in. I'm going to invite you in, my friend. It keeps telling me hide live video from Chris Broussard. I don't want to hide live video. I want to join him. I do not know how it's not letting me join my friend. What's going on, buddy? Somebody give me instructions. I would love it. I click it and it's not letting me grab him. So if someone on Team Meltzer can help me, that'd be great. I appreciate it. I don't want to make my boy wait for too long. What's your favorite part of your morning routine? Waking up every day at 4 a.m. is my favorite part. It won't let me join him. Can you request to go live, Chris? Is that possible? If you click on it and just say request to go live, I'll try to do that. But waking up at 4 a.m. is absolutely my favorite part of my morning routine. I live my entire day so I can wake up tomorrow at 4 a.m. So the questions that go through my head, if I do this, will I be able to wake up at 4 a.m. tomorrow? How can I beat social media procrastination? Oh man, set times, schedule it, don't do it. The biggest soul sucker and time sucker is TikTok. That music, like, it just goes on. My girls have it next to me and I'm like distracted by it. How do you afford to wake up so early? It's a practice. It's what I do. I try to stay up to 11 every day, but I wake up at 4, and that's my main objective. That 4 o'clock to 9 a.m. constructive productivity, accessibility, and gratitude that's created in those 5 hours. are exponentially more unbelievably more valuable than anything else. Chris, I apologize, my friend. It just will not let me join you, and you're not in the. If you can hit, oops. Oh, there you are. I got you. Hold on one second. All right, you're in there now. All right, let's go here. There we go. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. This is not FS1. This is Dave Meltzer's Instagram Live, and I am the producer of my own show. Obviously, not nearly as good as you. Chris, are you there? Please join me. There we go. Come on. I got it working now. Is he still there or did he leave us? All right. There he is. I'm connecting.
All right,
Persistent.
I'm in. It's good to see you.
Hey.
I
How
think
are you?
I was trying to get in on my computer. I guess it has to be a phone.
That's probably
Yeah,
why.
okay.
See, it's funny because I didn't even know Instagram we could do it on a computer, and then my guy told me yesterday, yeah, and I was playing around with it, and then I go, can I join? He goes, no, it doesn't have that yet. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. See, we both on the same track, man. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to connect, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you know what? It's much easier to connect this way than at the Super Bowl. That's for sure. We
Yes.
got a lot calmer. Hey, we were just on with Castbox, the guys from China. Before that, Trevor Moad. Obviously, sports has taken, and I have a sports marketing company for, what we do has taken a complete halt, and we are going to have a restart. We're going to have a restart. I don't think people realize how many businesses are connected to what's going on in sports, from food to facilities to security. It's a
Right.
multi-billion-dollar industry, and people like you really are a hub or a connector, not just for information, but as a supportive person. Everybody, people like you, Chris, they rely on you just to make them feel good. The guys like you are connected to the athletes, the owners, the guy that's serving the popcorn. When we're
Right.
in that position, you're there. What are some of the things that you're seeing that you think, as we kind of evolve out of this, are going to be able to recover and go ahead and be successful again?
Well, one thing, as you said, kind of, we're a connection to people. I do a weekly or daily radio show called The Odd Couple on Fox Sports Radio. It's a national show, and we have had so many of our callers tell myself and my co-host Rob Parker that we're giving them a sense of normalcy. That just hearing us is kind of gives them, normalcy and a touch of what we used to have before the pandemic started. So it is very important, sports and sports talk, the landscape as it is now. You have sports talk on television or radio. So it's very important to people. But as far as what thing you want to know, what things may look like when we start back,
Yeah.
far as you hear a lot of people in various realms talking about there's going to be a new normal. And obviously, when sports do come back in the fall, hopefully, or maybe later this summer, there won't be fans. There's no way they're going to have fans. Now, Joe Buck talked about how they're, as far as football games, they're talking about maybe having virtual fans, that they put into the seats, so it looks like there's fans at the game, and then putting in crowd noise and things like that to enhance the television experience. I think the NBA will look into something similar because it does make sense. It'll make the TV experience that much better. For the players, though, they won't have that. They'll be in an empty arena, and that's going to be different for a lot of them. Obviously, guys are used to playing in open gyms where it's empty, and their competitive juices will take over, and they'll compete, especially with so much at stake, championships and things like that, reputations, images, your legacy. But it's going to be much different. And some guys, feed off the crowd more than others. And we're going to find that out. I think we'll also get to hear a lot, depending on how the leagues do it. If they don't have fake crowd noise and stuff, we may hear, the trash talk of the players on the court, which would be great.
Yeah.
You'll hear the coach from the sidelines yelling play calls or what instructions and things like that. I don't know if you watched the UFC over the weekend, but they had the fight, they had the fights in the empty arena, and you could even hear the punches to the chest and the head and the trash talk. And Greg Hardy even said that he won his fight because he heard the announcers saying what he should do. And he started doing it, and it helped him win the fight. So it's going to be very interesting and very different when we do get back to sports.
And I love your sports talk. I've been a big fan of yours. We've done a few things together over the years, but how has your content switched? Obviously we used to talk about the actual participation, but now you're so involved in kind of the business and the other side. Where has that shifted for you, and what have you learned from it?
Yeah, it's interesting because, I'm looking for content for our radio show, and I'm going on the Colin Cowherd show in about an hour. And so it's with today's landscape, there's always news. There's always scuttlebutt. There's always new stories every day that you can talk about. Obviously, James Harrison, I'm not sure if you saw it, who actually is from Akron, Ohio as well as you. He said that Mike Tomlin gave him an envelope for a 2010 hit he put on a player that caused the concussion. So now that's become a big story. So that's something to talk about. Obviously, The Last Dance has been tremendous. And it would have been huge anyway. But during this pandemic where people don't have normal sports to watch, it's made it even bigger. And I texted a little with Michael Jordan during this. I said, man, you must feel like it's 1997 all over again. He was like, yeah, this pandemic has put all the focus on The Last Dance. And so we're finding a lot of stuff to talk about. So the shows have still been very good, according to our listeners.
Yeah, I think they should have renamed The Last Dance The Only Dance.
Right.
Literally the only thing. All right, last thing, I'll let you get on to Colin's show. But, you get so many different stories and you get exposed to so many different things. Obviously, I'm a positive motivator trying to inspire people through this. What's the most inspirational story that you've covered, learned, or talked about over the last 8 weeks that really moved you?
Wow. It's off the top of my head. It's hard to say. I'm excited that the players, I tweeted, I've been in touch with some people that had a program called Hoopers Meet Heroes, I believe it was. And that's when these star basketball players were, meeting the people on the front lines, and the people that are working in the hospitals and not making a lot of money. And they're, talking to them like they're heroes, which they are. And so I think seeing people that a lot of us look up to, which are the athletes, seeing them view other people as heroes, the people that are doing the everyday work, I think that's great. And I think, look, Dave, and this, for many of us, this is an inconvenience and we're blessed. But for so many people, it's darn near life or death, if not life and death. And so I think we should, as much as we're bothered that we have to stay in the house and that we don't have sports and that we can't do our normal routine, those of us who are just inconvenienced need to remember that we're very blessed even in this situation, because there are a lot of people that they're having to go to work every day and not making a lot of money. It's a job they may not really enjoy, but for our convenience, they're doing it. And for some people's health. So I just think keeping things in proper perspective and focusing, looking at it glass half full rather than half empty, counting the blessings that you do have even during this pandemic.
Yeah, I keep telling my girls, stop complaining about first world problems, and also you got a new perspective. Even the people that deliver my mail, I have a new appreciation for, because it is to deliver mail becomes a very risky proposition to travel around and touch everybody. And especially, but we don't remember things as well as we should. People forget what it was like 8 weeks ago, how scary it was. right?
Right,
They're
right.
getting frustrated right now, but there's a lot of really people did not want to go outside, and my mail guy was coming to the door, going to the boxes and making sure that people got information that they needed. Dude, I can't wait till we get out of this. I'd love to see you.
Yes.
Skip Bayless, you're on with Colin. You got your own show, FS1. Keep everybody positive. Keep them informed. Tell the news like it is, like you always do, and we'll catch each other on the other side of this. All right?
Thanks, David. I look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully. And
Yep.
thank you for having me on.
Anytime, my friend. Check out
Yep.
the man, Chris Broussard, FS1's incredible, incredible talent. It's not easy to do what he does. Let me just tell you. And I touch on it a few times. And one of my favorite things about being on sports shows, especially when I ran Lee Steinberg and with Warren Moon. And, one of my favorite things about, being honest, people, when you're a sports agent or you're running a sports agency, they think about like Chris does about the inside of, certain things that are going on. I remember somebody asked me a question on ESPN about a guy that slid aggressively into second base and hurt the shortstop. And I was like, well, at least he didn't get hurt. I was just talking out of my rear end. And when I learned the lesson, do not BS people, because the guy's like, oh, you mean he didn't get hurt? He blew out his knee. I'm like, well, he didn't die. Got to tell the truth, got to know what you know and don't know what you don't know. One of the best lessons about interviewing and being interviewed is only say what you know. And if you don't know something, let somebody know. I don't know what I don't know. Let's go find out the truth. There's plenty of places to access it. Anyway, I am so excited. About 2 hours and 13 minutes from now, 11 a.m. Friday training, motivation versus inspiration. We're going to get you up and get you there. I promise you it is worth it. Invite your friends if you haven't registered yet. 949-298-2905. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com. We'll get you the link real quick. It is free. I will not sell you anything. Enjoy your day. If you don't catch the training live, catch the replay. It's on YouTube. We'll send you that as well. We'll have a training guide for free for everyone on motivation versus inspiration. Most importantly than anything, thank you everybody to join me today. Trevor Moad, our friends from Castbox as well, and of course the great Chris Broussard. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Have a wonderful weekend.